What timeline are you from? No, seriously. Before we do this, don't Google anything. Don't pause. Don't check the comments. Just answer in your head. That warning message you used to see on your car mirror. What did it say? Was it definite? Or was it only a maybe? The thinker statue. Where was his hand? Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA cover. There was something in his back pocket. What was it? And I'm not even going to mention the strangest one yet, because number one takes us somewhere most Mandela Effects don't. Not a logo, not a quote, not a spelling effect. Something people remember seeing that apparently never happened. Well, not in this timeline anyway. And I want to say this before I start. This list isn't random. I carefully picked these 15 because every one of them hits me in some way. Some are personal memories. Some are ones where the official version just doesn't sit right. And some are here because they open a much bigger question about memory, culture, and maybe even reality itself. So as we count them down, I want to know if you agree with the list. Would you rank them differently? Did I miss one that should have been here? And when we get to number one, I really want to know if you remember it too, because that one is honestly strange. Because tonight we're not doing the usual Mandela Effect list. No Fruit of the Loom, no Monopoly Man, no Kit Kat hyphen. You've heard those. Tonight we're going to go to the strange corner of the phenomenon. The deeper cuts. The overlooked ones. The weirdly specific ones that don't always make the big lists, but when they hit hard. And I'll say this now. The top 5 are going to make you question everything you think you know. And number 1 might be the strangest Mandela Effect we've ever covered on this channel. So as we go, get involved. If you remember a totally different version, then make sure you drop that in the comments, because Mandela Effect videos are always better when everyone compares notes. And if you like this episode, remember to like, share, hype it in the comments, and subscribe to Existence Unknown for more mysteries and reality-breaking conversations you'll love. It's free, it supports smaller channels like this one, and it helps us put together better videos for you. I'm Mike, this is Existence Unknown, and these are the 15 Mandela Effects nobody talks about enough. Let's do this. Let's start with a strange little one, the laughing cow. That smiling red cow logo on the cheese. Now, a lot of people remember something very specific. A nose ring. Not just the logo looked different, not just there was something on the face. An actual nose ring. And if you remember it, you probably see it instantly. The little ring through the nose completing the whole cartoon cow look. But in this version of reality, the laughing cow does not have a nose ring. Not now, and officially, not ever. What she does have are earrings, and inside those earrings are little images of the cheese box itself. So maybe that explains it. Maybe people are mixing up the circular earrings with something else. Maybe the red face, the earrings, and all those tiny details got stored over time. But for people who remember the nose ring, it doesn't feel like design confusion. It feels like a missing detail. For this one, I want to pop up a fake version and a real version side by side, because this is exactly how Mandela Effects get under your skin. The fake version feels familiar. The real version feels official. And somewhere between those two feelings is the whole mystery. I can already hear some of you saying, no, she definitely had one. And that's exactly why this one made the list. This one is tricky because obviously we can't play the song here. We'll get copyright striked. But we can talk about the lyrics that people argue about. It's for Billie Jean, Michael Jackson. One of the most famous songs ever recorded. A lot of people remember the line as, "Mama always told me." But in this timeline, the lyric is commonly listed as "Mother always told me." And that one is interesting because Mama feels more natural to a lot of people. It feels more musical. It feels more like the way people remember singing it. But the current lyric points to mother. And with music, this gets weird because you don't just remember lyrics like facts. You remember how they feel. You remember the rhythm. You remember the way the word lands. You remember singing it in the car, at parties, or in your room when nobody was listening. So when a lyric seems to sit differently than the version in your head, it creates that strange Mandela Effect friction. That little pause where your brain says, wait, that's not how it sounded. Now yes, this could be mishearing. It could be the vocal delivery. It could be years of people singing along slightly different. But lyric Mandela effects are fascinating because the song doesn't only exist on the record. It exists inside millions of people. And sometimes those memories don't line up. Say both versions in your head and you'll know pretty quick which one your memory wants to choose. Now let's go from music to wrestling. The Rock, one of the most famous catchphrases in entertainment history. Most people remember it as, "Can you smell what The Rock is cooking?" But the signature version is, "If you smell what The Rock is cooking." If, not can. And that one word changes the whole rhythm of it. "Can you smell" feels like a version people say when they imitate him. It feels natural. It feels complete. It feels like the actual line. And here's what makes this one even more interesting. There are still shirts being sold now with "Can you smell what The Rock is cooking" on them. So even commercially, culturally, and casually, that version still lives out there. Now, is this because people are misquoting it? Maybe. Is it because that version is easier to say? Probably. But this is where the cultural memory gets messy. Sometimes we don't remember the original. We remember the version everyone repeated. The version on shirts. The version your mates yelled. The version that became bigger than the source. Try doing this again and say both versions in your head. What version actually makes sense when you say it? Let us know in the comments. This one hits me personally. Skyrim. If you spent any time online after Skyrim came out, you know the line. "I used to be an adventurer like you, ... And I remember it as, "Then I took an arrow to the knee." To the knee. That's the phrase I quoted. That's the meme I remember. And I spent over 100 hours in Skyrim, so this one really gets me. There is no way in my head I got this one wrong. But the actual line is, "Then I took an arrow in the knee." In, not to. And I know that sounds small. But if you know the meme, you know the rhythm matters. Arrow to the knee feels like a phrase that lived online. It feels like the version everyone repeated. So this becomes the question, did the meme mutate the line? Or did the meme spread that way because people already remembered it like that? Because that's the trap with Mandela effects. Sometimes you can see a possible explanation, but the memory still feels too clean, too shared, too specific. And if you spent serious hours in Skyrim like I did, this one does not just feel like a quote. It feels like part of the experience. And just so you know, the order of these effects matters here. I didn't just throw these together. The further we go, the more personal, visual, and unsettling these get for me. So if you disagree with where I've placed one, tell me, because I want the comments section to become the real ranking. Now this one is pure image memory. Fonzie from Happy Days, the Fonz. Cool, confident, thumbs up, leather jacket. My parents used to love watching Happy Days, and I swear the Fonz wore a black leather jacket. That's the image I have. Black leather, cool guy, greaser energy. A bit of that Danny Zuko from Grease vibe. And maybe that's the issue. Maybe I'm crossing those two archetypes over. Maybe my brain has merged Fonzie with the general image of that classic black leather jacket cool guy. But when you look at Fonzie now, the jacket is brown. Dark brown, yeah, but brown, not black. And that just doesn't match the version in my head. This is why visual Mandela effects can be so strong. Because sometimes you're not remembering a word. You're remembering a whole character, a whole vibe, a whole image. And when one detail shifts, the whole thing feels off. If you grew up with Happy Days, I reckon this one either hits you immediately or you're already yelling at the screen. This one feels gentle until you really think about it. Mr. Rogers, that warm, familiar opening. A lot of people remember It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. But the lyric is, it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. This, not the. And I know that seems tiny. But to me, the idea always felt like the neighborhood he was singing about could have been anyone's neighborhood. Could be your neighborhood, even my neighborhood. That was the magic of it. So the neighborhood feels broader, more welcoming, more universal. This neighborhood feels more specific. And yes, this has been parodied plenty of times using the neighborhood. So maybe that reinforced the memory. But childhood examples hit differently. Because childhood memory is not stored like trivia. It's stored as feeling. It's a room, a couch, a TV, a voice, a time in your life. So when one word changes, it can feel like someone touched something personal. And if you're already singing it in your head right now, you know exactly what I mean. Joan Jett, I love rock and roll. Most people can hear the opening scene in their head. A lot of people remember, I saw him standing there by the record machine. But the lyric is, I saw him dancing there by the record machine. Dancing, not standing. And I'll be honest, standing works better for me. Standing by the record machine gives the guy an aura of being cool. Like he's just there, leaning, waiting, owning the room. It does not hit the same for me with dancing. That changes the whole image. And that's why this one is interesting. It's not just a word, it changes the scene in your head. Standing is cool, dancing is movement, different energy, different character, different memory. I know some people will hear the current version and go, yeah, of course. But others will feel that little bump in reality because the scene they remember has a different guy in it. The Flintstones. Or is it Flintstones? Now, I watched plenty of Flintstones episodes growing up, and I understand why the name uses Flint. Flint, stone, Flintstones. Flint being a type of stone they used back then. That makes sense. It should settle in. But it still does not look right to me with two T's. There's something about the current spelling that feels too heavy. Like the word has been corrected, or restored, or patched. And this is one of those Mandela effects some people reported it as a flip-flop. They swear they checked it one way, came back later, and it was the other. Now, I'm not telling you that's what happened, but I am telling you this. When a word that should make perfect sense still feels wrong to so many people, that's worth paying attention to. Because the whole point of the Mandela effect is not always that the current version is impossible. Sometimes the current version makes perfect sense. And it still feels wrong. Before we keep going, if one of these has already hit you, drop it in the comments now. Not later, go right now. I want this comment section to become a timeline check. And while you're there, Give the video a like and subscribe if you're enjoying this. This one is huge. Dorothy, Oz, one of the most famous movie lines ever. Most people remember, "Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore." But in the film, the line is, "Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore." And I'll say it plainly, the actual line doesn't sound right to me. The other version feels natural, it flows, it sounds like the quote, it sounds like what culture remembers. I don't think we're in Kansas anymore is cleaner, simpler, more direct. I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore feels older, more formal, and somehow less iconic. So what are you remembering? The film, the parodies, the shortened cultural version, or another version entirely? Because this pattern comes up again and again. The remembered version often feels sharper, cleaner, more memorable, almost like it came from a version of reality with better editing. And once you hear both versions, it's not hard to notice which one your brain wants to keep. Now we move into cultural memory. The three wise men. Everyone knows the story. Three wise men visit after the birth of Jesus, or three kings, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Three gifts, three men. That's how I always understood it. And honestly, I'm a bit stumped on this one. Because don't most reenactments use or say three wise men? School plays, Christmas stories, cards, songs, church displays. Everywhere you look, it feels like three. But the Bible does not actually say there were three wise men. It mentions the gifts, gold, frankincense, myrrh. But it does not give the number of wise men. The number three appears to come from tradition, because there were three gifts. And over time, that tradition became so strong that many people remembered it as text. That's what makes this one fascinating, because it's not just about a word changing. This is about culture becoming memory, a tradition becoming fact in people's minds. And if that can happen with something this well known, then what else are we carrying as certainty that may have never been written that way? Now we're entering my top 5, and this is where the list changes for me. There aren't just little wording issues anymore. These are the ones that feel like they leave residue. Images, scenes, objects, moments. Things that sit in your mind like they were absolutely real. Who doesn't love the Scary Movie franchise? And this one is another I'm sure of. Scary Movie 2, the hand scene, the guy with the little weird hand. The line most people remember is, "Take my strong hand." That was the joke. That was the quote. That was the part that people repeated for years. But when people go back and watch the scene, the line many remember is not there in the clean, direct way people quote it. The scene has similar wording, the gag, it's still there, but the exact remembered version, "Take my strong hand," is the part people argue over. And what makes this one even stranger is the Marlon Wayans detail. Marlon Wayans was asked what the line was in the movie. Even he reportedly said it was strong hand.
There is a part of Scary Movie 2 that has its very own Mandela Effect. Do you know about this?
No.
The quote, "Take my little hand," is the correct quote, right? From the film.
Yes.
But everybody
Take my good hand.
thinks it's "Take my strong hand."
Yeah, it is take my strong hand. Take my strong hand.
No, it's "Take my little hand," and my mind blew today.
Really? I thought it
realising
was
that.
take my strong hand.
You take my little hand. No!
This guy wrote the movie, performed the movie, built the joke. And this version still seemed to sit better with him too. This is why the top 5 are different. They don't just feel like tiny mistakes. They feel like something got left behind. Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA. That album cover is iconic. Jeans, American flag, something in the back pocket. But what was it? I'll give you a second. Because when I chose this one, I could see the bandana in my head. Clearly, a red bandana hanging out of the right back pocket. That's the image. But it's not a bandana. It's a red cap, a baseball cap. And that one genuinely feels wrong to me. Because album covers are not random images. They live in culture. They're on walls, records, CD cases, articles, t-shirts, memories. You see them again and again. So when a detail like that changes or seems to change, you don't just think, oh, I missed that. You think, no, I've seen this image my whole life. And if you picture the bandana before I said cap, that's exactly the feeling I'm talking about. This might be one of the strongest Mandela effects ever. Not because it's flashy, because it's ordinary. Objects in mirror may be closer than they appear. This is how so many people remember it. May be. It was uncertain, a warning, a possibility. But the actual wording is, objects in mirror are closer than they appear. Are, not maybe. And I'll say this, I distinctly remember the message on the mirrors of Australian taxis. Weird way to remember it, I know. But that's my memory. Sitting there, seeing the little warning and reading it as maybe. This is why this one hits hard. Because this is not a movie, it's not a song, it's not a brand logo. It's something ordinary. Something you'd see in a car, a taxi, maybe on a family road trip, sitting in the passenger seat, a mirror you stared at when you were bored. So if your memory can be wrong about something you saw over and over again, that's really uncomfortable. Or maybe the better question is, was your memory wrong? And yeah, we're almost at number 1 now. So if the mirror one hit you, wait until the next 2, because these are the ones that move the Mandela effect from interesting to genuinely unsettling. The Thinker, one of the most famous sculptures in the world. And yet ask people to pose like the Thinker and watch what they do. Many put their fists on their forehead. Others put their fists directly under their chin. But the actual pose is different from what many people perform from memory. The figure's leaning forward with the right elbow on the left thigh and the back of the right hand supporting the chin area. Not a fist pressed against the forehead. Not the clean fist under the chin pose so many people act out. And this one is especially unsettling because people can physically perform their memory. They don't just say it, they do it. That means the memory is embodied, stored in posture, in gesture, stored in muscle memory. So when the real sculpture does not match the pose people carry in their body, it feels bigger than a misquote. It feels like your own body remembers another version. If you just instinctively posed it before I describe the real one, that's the part I find fascinating. Because your body answered before the evidence did. And now we get to number 1. This one is different. This one isn't about a detail being wrong. It's about people remembering an entire event that apparently never happened.
Are those Doritos?
Yeah.
Can I have one?
Yeah, right. That'll happen the day the pigs can shoot lasers out of their butts?
Uh-oh. Had to say butts.
A Doritos ad where pigs fly. And I swear I saw this commercial too. But apparently it never aired. At least not in the way people remember. The creator, posting under the Instagram handle @aspiring_alchemist, has been talking about this online, and honestly, he seems just as freaked out as the people who remember seeing it. Maybe even more. Because imagine creating something, believing it never actually aired, and then people around the world start telling you they remember watching it. That is bizarre. And at this point, you almost have to ask, should someone be paying him royalties for this? Maybe he should look into that. Now, there was a Doritos ad using the idea of flying pigs, but not like this one. Not the one people describe. Not the specific version with the two guys. Not the laser beam part. Not the joke in the way people remember it. So what is this? Because if people remember a logo differently, you can say it was design confusion. If people remember a quote differently, you can say it was a parody. If people remember a lyric differently, you can say they misheard it. But when people remember seeing an entire commercial, a scene, a joke, a sequence, that becomes harder to brush away. That's not just a detail, that's an experience. And if enough people remember an experience that apparently didn't happen, then the Mandela Effect becomes something much bigger than a memory. So what do we do with this? Because I know what people will say. They'll say we're simply misremembering things. And I understand why that explanation is comforting. It keeps reality solid. It keeps the past fixed. It keeps the whole thing safely inside the brain. But I don't think it explains absolutely everything. Not cleanly. Not when so many people remember the same details, the same images, the same lines, and the same moments, and sometimes even have the same experiences. Now, I'm not comfortable saying with certainty what is causing this, and I don't think anyone should be. Maybe some of it is memory. Maybe some of it is culture. Maybe parody and repetition overwrite the original. Maybe the brain fills in the gaps. But maybe there is something else at play too. Something outside our current understanding. A shift, a merge, a bleed through, a glitch, a version of reality sitting close enough to this one that some of us still carry pieces of it. And that's why I'm going to keep exploring this in future episodes on Existence Unknown. Because the deeper you go into the Mandela Effect, the less it feels like a joke, and the more it starts to feel like a clue trail. So if this episode hit you, subscribe and stick around so you don't miss where we take this to next. Also, like the video if you want more deep dive Mandela Effect episodes. Make sure you share this episode with someone who remembers things differently. Actually, show this video to your family and friends and see if they're from your same timeline too. You want to make sure they're not imposters and they're the real deal, right? And comment below with the one from tonight that you refuse to accept. Then make sure you check out the other Mandela Effect countdowns and theory episodes at the end of this video, because we've already explored the famous examples, the 2012 timeline question, and why some people remember while others don't. This episode is only one part of a much bigger rabbit hole. And remember, I'm Mike. This is Existence Unknown. Stay curious and trust what you remember. And share what you know with those that are happy to listen.